time, we take it for granted, seconds ticking by, days turning to nights, years slipping through our fingers. But what if time isn't what we think it is? What if it's not an unstoppable current flowing in one direction, but something far stranger, something we don't fully understand? Right now, as you listen, time seems to be moving forward. But physics suggests that time might not be a simple, one-way street. In the equations that describe the universe, time is often reversible. Yet, in our daily lives, it never is. Why do we remember the past but not the future? Why does time speed up when we're happy and slow down when we're afraid? Could it be that time, as we experience it, is nothing more than a mental construct? A story our brains tell us to make sense of reality? Or is time a fundamental force, woven into the very fabric of the cosmos? Tonight, we'll unravel the mysteries of time, how it bends, warps, and even loops back on itself. We'll explore the strange paradoxes hidden in Einstein's relativity, the mind-bending implications of quantum physics, and the eerie connection between time, memory, and consciousness itself. Because the deeper we look, the stranger time becomes. We don't experience time as it truly is, we experience the version our brains construct for us. In reality, there's no ticking clock in the universe marking past, present, and future. There's just a sequence of events, and our minds interpret them as a flowing river, moving in one direction. But what if that flow is an illusion? Neuroscientists have discovered that our perception of time isn't continuous. Instead, our brains take snapshots of reality in small segments, like frames in a movie reel, before stitching them together into what feels like a smooth passage of time. This is called the specious present, the brief window of awareness that our minds constantly update. But the length of that window isn't fixed. It can stretch and shrink, distorting time itself. Think about moments of intense fear, when a car suddenly swerves into your lane, or you slip and fall. Time slows. You see every detail. That's your brain increasing the resolution of reality, taking in more information per second. It's an evolutionary survival mechanism, giving you more time to react. But when you're lost in joy, time does the opposite. Hours disappear in what feels like minutes. That's because your brain isn't logging every second with the same precision. It's filtering out unnecessary details, letting you immerse yourself in the moment. And then there's memory. Are we actually experiencing time, or just remembering it? The past is gone, the future hasn't arrived, and yet our sense of time exists only because of the memories we collect. Without memory, would time even exist for us at all? For centuries, we believed time was absolute, flowing steadily like a great cosmic river, the same for everyone, everywhere. Sir Isaac Newton described time as an independent, universal force, ticking forward at a fixed rate, indifferent to the movements of stars, planets, and people. This was absolute time, as real and unchangeable as space itself. This idea fit neatly into the clockwork universe, a world of predictable cause and effect, where everything moved according to precise mathematical laws. If you knew the position and velocity of every particle, you could, in theory, rewind the past or predict the future with perfect accuracy. The universe was a grand machine, ticking forward like gears in a perfect cosmic clock. But was time truly separate from space? Was it an invisible background against which all things moved, or was it just another coordinate, one woven into the very fabric of reality itself? For hundreds of years, Newton's time seemed undeniable. Then Einstein came along, and everything changed. We take time for granted. It feels absolute, ticking away at the same rate for everyone, everywhere. But over a century ago, Albert Einstein shattered that idea. time is not fixed. It bends, stretches, and warps depending on how fast you move and where you are in the universe. Imagine two clocks, one on Earth and one aboard a spaceship traveling at near light speed. The clock in space will tick slower than the one on Earth. This is time dilation, one of the strangest consequences of Einstein's special relativity. If an astronaut left Earth on a high-speed journey across the cosmos and returned decades later, they might find their friends and family aged significantly while they themselves have only aged a few years. This is the twin paradox, a thought experiment showing how motion alters time. But speed isn't the only thing that distorts time. Gravity does too. In Einstein's general relativity, massive objects like planets and black holes bend the fabric of space-time, slowing time itself. The closer you are to a massive object, the slower your clock runs compared to someone farther away. Right now, time is moving slightly slower for your feet than for your head, because your feet are closer to Earth's gravity. The effect is tiny, but near a black hole, it becomes extreme. If you hovered just outside the event horizon of a black hole for a few hours, you might return to find centuries had passed for the rest of the universe. And perhaps the most unsettling realization? The now that you're experiencing isn't universal. Right now, in some distant galaxy, an alien civilization's present moment is different from yours. The passage of time depends on perspective. Time is relative. It has no single, absolute flow. And that changes everything we thought we knew about reality. What if time isn't something that flows but something that simply is? The block universe theory proposes a radical idea that the past, present, and future all exist at once, locked into a vast four-dimensional structure. From this perspective, time isn't something we move through. It's already there, laid out like a frozen river where every moment, past, present, and future, is equally real. If this is true, then our perception of time flowing forward is just that, a perception, an illusion created by our consciousness as we move through this unchanging landscape. Imagine flipping through the pages of a book. Every chapter exists simultaneously, but you experience them in sequence. Your past isn't gone, your future isn't waiting to be written, it's all there, solid and unchanging. But this raises a haunting question. If all of time is already mapped out, do we actually make choices? Is free will an illusion? If the future is just as real as the past, then every decision we think we're making might already be set in stone. Strangely, this idea echoes some of the oldest spiritual beliefs. Many ancient traditions speak of fate, of destinies that are already written, of a divine order where everything happens as it must. If time is a frozen block, could we simply be following a path that was predetermined long before we ever became aware of it? And yet, there is a paradox hidden within this theory. If we could somehow step outside of time and see it as a whole, would we be able to change anything? Or are we merely playing out a script that was always meant to unfold exactly as it does? If physics allows for time to run forward and backward, why do we only experience it moving in one direction? Why do we remember the past but never the future? The answer lies in one of the most fundamental laws of nature, the second law of thermodynamics. In simple terms, entropy, the measure of disorder, always increases over time. A shattered glass won't spontaneously reassemble. Smoke won't drift back into a matchstick. And a cold cup of coffee won't suddenly heat itself back up. Nature moves toward disorder, not order. This concept gives rise to what scientists call the arrow of time, the idea that time has a preferred direction, moving forward rather than backward. But here's the paradox. The laws of physics, from Newton to Einstein to quantum mechanics, work just as well in reverse. They don't inherently dictate that time must flow forward. If you watched a video of two billiard balls colliding and then played it in reverse, You wouldn't be able to tell which was the real sequence. Yet in our daily lives, time only moves forward. Some physicists believe the answer lies in the birth of the universe. At the moment of the Big Bang, everything was in an extremely low entropy, ordered state. As the universe expanded, entropy increased, giving rise to the irreversible progression of time. In a way, we're all riding the wave of growing disorder that started billions of years ago. But what if entropy didn't determine time's direction? Some theories suggest that time's arrow might be an illusion, just a byproduct of how our brains process memories. If our minds weren't wired to recall the past, would we even notice time flowing at all? And that leads to an unsettling question. If the universe could somehow reset its entropy, could time reverse? Could a future civilization one day unlock the ability to move backward in time? Or is our fate to always march forward, deeper into the unknown? Time travel, the ultimate fantasy, and yet the ultimate paradox. If time truly flows like a river, can we ever swim against its current? And if we did, would we break the very fabric of reality? One of the most famous paradoxes in time travel is the grandfather paradox. Suppose you travel back in time and remove your grandfather before he ever meets your grandmother. If he never has children, then your parents are never born. And if they were never born, you never existed. But if you never existed, then who went back in time to erase your grandfather in the first place? Does the universe have built-in protection against such contradictions? Some physicists suggest the Novikov self-consistency principle, the idea that events in the past always unfold in a way that prevents paradoxes. If you try to alter history, something will inevitably stop you. Maybe the gun jams. Maybe you get hit by a car before reaching your grandfather. Maybe the universe simply won't allow contradictions to exist. Then there's the bootstrap paradox, a riddle that questions where information truly originates. Imagine this. You travel back in time and hand Shakespeare a copy of his complete works before he writes them. He then copies them down, publishes them, and history unfolds just as it always has. But here's the question: where did the information actually come from? Who really wrote those plays? If knowledge has no point of origin, does it mean time loops can create something from nothing? And finally, there's the predestination paradox, where time doesn't just flow forward, but loops back onto itself. Imagine a person who has a vision of their own death. Terrified, they try to avoid the moment, only to find that every action they take leads them directly to it. The very act of trying to prevent fate becomes the cause of it. Could this be how time actually works? Do we shape the future, or does the future shape us? And if time loops truly exist, are we simply living out a script we've already written? Time, as we experience it, seems continuous, moving in one direction. But when we zoom into the quantum level, the realm of subatomic particles, this certainty begins to unravel. Particles don't behave the way we expect them to. They can exist in multiple states at once, only choosing a definite state when observed. Even more unsettling, some experiments suggest that the future can influence the past. Take the delayed choice experiment, an eerie twist on the famous double-slit experiment. Normally, when particles pass through two slits, they behave as both a particle and a wave, until observed. The act of measuring forces the particle to choose a definite path. But in the delayed choice version, the observer waits to decide whether or not to measure the particle after it has already passed through the slits. Logically, this should be impossible. The particle's path should already be determined. Yet the results suggest that the future act of observation affects the past behavior of the particle. It's as if time, at the quantum level, doesn't follow the strict forward-moving rule we assume it does. Some physicists argue that this suggests time isn't fundamental, that it emerges from a deeper, timeless reality. Just as temperature emerges from the movement of molecules, time may be an emergent property of quantum interactions, rather than an intrinsic feature of the universe. If this is true, it raises profound questions. Is time just an illusion created by large-scale physics? Could consciousness play a role in shaping the past as well as the future? And if time isn't fundamental, could it be manipulated? If time travel is possible, where are all the time travelers? Wouldn't history be filled with people from the future, leaving behind artifacts and messages, or even changing the course of civilization itself? According to Einstein's equations, time loops, known as closed time-like curves, are theoretically possible. These loops suggest that if the right conditions exist, an object could travel back and forth through time without violating the laws of physics. Yet, despite the mathematical possibility, time travel remains elusive. One of the most promising ideas is wormholes, shortcuts through space-time, also known as Einstein-Rosen bridges. If 2 points in space and time could be connected, a traveler might step through one side and emerge in the past or future. The problem? Every known solution for a stable wormhole requires exotic matter, hypothetical substances with negative energy that might not even exist. Then, there's the eerie connection between time and black holes. Some physicists speculate that black holes don't just trap matter and light, they might also store the past. The event horizon, that inescapable boundary around a black hole, stretches time to near infinity. If someone were to fall in, from their perspective, they'd cross the horizon in moments. But to an outside observer, their fall would take forever, frozen in time at the edge of the abyss. Could black holes be cosmic record keepers, holding onto the past in a way we don't yet understand? Could wormholes offer a hidden doorway into yesterday? And if time travel is possible, is it simply a matter of building the right machine, or breaking free from the very nature of reality itself? We live under the assumption that time flows in one direction, past to present to future. But is this an illusion of human perception? Could consciousness exist outside of time, accessing moments beyond our normal experience? Near-death experiences often include vivid accounts of life reviews, where individuals claim to see their entire lives at once, not as a sequence, but as a single, interconnected tapestry. These reports defy our understanding of time as a linear progression. Some who have undergone these experiences describe seeing past events with perfect clarity and glimpsing possible futures. Certain meditative and altered states of consciousness also hint at a timeless awareness. Mystics across cultures, from Buddhist monks to indigenous shamans, have long suggested that the present moment is the only true reality. They describe time not as a river that carries us forward, but as an ocean where all moments exist simultaneously, and the mind simply shifts its focus from one wave to another. Could it be that time is a construct of the physical brain, and that our consciousness exists beyond it? Some scientists speculate that if consciousness has quantum properties, it might be able to interact with past and future states in ways we don't yet understand. If time is an illusion, then what happens when we truly let go of it? Do we gain access to something greater? What if time isn't real at all? What if everything we experience, our past, our present, and even our future, is nothing more than a sophisticated illusion carefully constructed by a hidden system beyond our comprehension? Some physicists believe we may be living in a simulated universe, a reality generated by an advanced intelligence, perhaps even our own future descendants. If that's true, then time as we perceive it could be nothing more than a computational trick. Think of a video game. The character you control doesn't experience a continuous flow of time, only the frames that are rendered in each moment. Their past actions exist as stored data, and their future actions exist as code, waiting to be executed. Could our reality function the same way? Some theories propose that what we call memory isn't a recollection of the past but rather a preloaded dataset, allowing us to experience continuity within an otherwise static program. In this view, the future isn't an unknown, unfolding reality, it's a series of pre-written possibilities waiting to be observed. But if time is artificial, could we hack it? Could certain individuals, through meditation, altered states, or sheer force of will, access hidden layers of the simulation? Reports of déjà vu, precognition, and time slips could be glitches in the system, brief moments where the illusion falters and something deeper is revealed. If time is programmed, does that mean the end is already written? Or, if we understand the code, could we break free from it, shaping not just our future, but the very nature of reality itself? Time is not just measured by clocks, it's shaped by perception. And those who control how you experience time control you. In high-pressure environments, time is deliberately sped up to force decisions. Casinos remove clocks and flood the senses with lights and sounds, creating a hypnotic loop where hours slip away unnoticed. Social media apps are designed to keep you scrolling, distorting your perception of time so minutes turn into hours without realizing it. Even corporations push the idea of hustle culture, making employees feel like they're always running out of time, rushing, working, consuming, until burnout becomes inevitable. But it isn't just businesses. Cults and extremist groups use time compression to manipulate followers. They flood recruits with information, exhausting their ability to think critically. High-control groups limit sleep, disorienting members so days blur together, making them more susceptible to suggestion. The goal? To make you feel like time is slipping away, like you must act now, without question. Governments and media also manipulate time perception. They manufacture urgency through constant, breaking news cycles, keeping the public in a state of reaction rather than reflection. When fear is amplified, people become more willing to accept drastic solutions. Time speeds up in chaos. But what happens when you slow time down? Monks, meditators, and deep thinkers have long known that controlling time perception means reclaiming control over your mind. Mindfulness, breath work, and intentional living can stretch time, making moments feel longer, richer, more profound. Slowing down isn't just relaxation. It's resistance against a world designed to keep you rushing forward without question. So, ask yourself, is time moving at its natural pace? Or is someone else dictating its speed? What is time? Is it a fundamental force woven into the fabric of reality, or just a byproduct of something deeper, something beyond human comprehension? For centuries, philosophers, scientists, and mystics have debated its true nature. Some say time is an illusion, nothing more than a construct of human consciousness. Others argue that it's an actual dimension, as real as space itself. But if time is real, does it have a beginning? An end? The Big Bang suggests time had a starting point, emerging alongside space from an unimaginably dense singularity. But if time began, does that mean it must also end? When the universe reaches its final state, whether through heat death, the Big Crunch, or something even stranger, does time itself cease to exist? And if it does, what happens next? Is time cyclical, destined to repeat in endless loops? Could we be reliving the same existence over and over without knowing? Or is there something beyond time? A realm where the past, present, and future dissolve into a single, eternal now? In the end, perhaps the greatest mystery is not just what time is, but whether we've been asking the wrong question all along. Every decision you make, every path you don't take, might still exist. Not just as a memory or a possibility, but as a real timeline unfolding parallel to the one you're living in right now. This is the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. It suggests that when a quantum event occurs, reality doesn't choose one outcome, it splits. Every possibility happens, but in separate, branching universes. You turn left in one. You turn right in another. You take that job. You don't. Every version of you, living every possibility, somewhere. If true, this means time is not a straight line. It's a web, an infinite branching structure where every timeline coexists. This raises unsettling questions. Could déjà vu be a moment of crossed paths? A glimpse of another version of you making a different choice? Could dreams be more than imagination? Could they be windows into alternate realities? And what about time travel? If infinite timelines exist, then maybe moving through time isn't about changing the past, but shifting into a different past, one that already exists somewhere in the quantum multiverse. Maybe a version of you, somewhere, has already discovered how. The mind struggles to grasp infinity. But if time itself is an illusion, then maybe your life, the timeline you believe you're locked into, is just one of countless possibilities. And maybe, just maybe, you aren't as stuck in time as you think. Imagine making a decision today, choosing a path, saying yes instead of no, and realizing that your choice wasn't entirely yours. What if, in some strange way, the future had already nudged you toward it? Retrocausality challenges everything we assume about time. It suggests that the future might not just be an effect of the past, but an active force shaping it. In quantum mechanics, experiments like the delayed choice quantum eraser hint at something bizarre. Particles appear to decide how they behaved in the past based on measurements taken in the present. If this happens on a microscopic level, could it apply to us? Could our future experiences ripple backward, subtly influencing our thoughts and actions before they even happen? Some physicists propose that consciousness itself may play a role in shaping reality, not just forward in time, but backward as well. If retrocausality is real, it forces an unsettling question. Do we ever make choices freely, or are we merely fulfilling a timeline that's already been written? Imagine a civilization so advanced that they no longer live within time the way we do. Not because they've left the universe, but because they've learned how to slow time itself, to stretch a single moment into eternity. This isn't science fiction. It's a consequence of Einstein's relativity. The faster you move, the slower time flows for you. At speeds close to the speed of light, time almost stops. A spacecraft traveling at 99.999% the speed of light could reach the other side of the galaxy in what feels like days to those on board, while millions of years pass outside. And near a black hole, where gravity is extreme, time dilates even more. If you hovered just above the event horizon, a single second for you could be centuries for the rest of the universe. Now, imagine an ancient, hyper-intelligent species that has mastered this. They wouldn't need to conquer death. They would simply outrun it. By living near massive black holes or traveling at near-light speeds, they could experience what feels like an endless existence, even as billions of years pass in the wider cosmos. Could this be the secret to immortality? Not through biological enhancement, but through relativity itself? If civilizations have survived long enough to discover this, they may still exist, ancient, godlike beings moving so slowly in time that we would never notice them. To them, we would appear like flickering sparks, civilizations rising and falling in an instant. And to us, they would seem frozen, forever on the edge of time's horizon. If time had a beginning, does it also have an end? Or is it infinite, an endless loop, repeating itself beyond our comprehension? Cosmologists propose several possible fates for the universe, each carrying a different consequence for time itself. In the Big Freeze, the universe expands forever, growing colder and more desolate. As galaxies drift apart and stars burn out, time itself may slow, losing all meaning in a cosmos where nothing changes. Would time still exist in a universe devoid of events, or would it simply fade into irrelevance? The Big Crunch suggests the opposite fate. Gravity halts expansion, pulling everything back together. If this happens, could time itself reverse? Would entropy rewind, causing shattered glasses to reassemble and lives to be lived backward? Then there's the Big Bounce, a radical idea proposing that the universe doesn't end, but instead cycles through endless rebirths. Time, in this scenario, is not linear but rhythmic, collapsing and re-expanding, resetting the cosmic clock over and over. If true, could our memories, our very consciousness, be echoes from previous cycles? In the end, time's destination remains a mystery. But whether it slows, reverses, or loops eternally, one thing is certain. Our perception of time is merely a fragment of a much larger, much stranger reality. Imagine if you could slow time. If a single second stretched into minutes, if the world moved in slow motion while you remained perfectly aware. For some creatures, this isn't science fiction. It's reality. A fly dodging your hand doesn't react faster than you. It simply experiences time differently. Its brain processes visual information at a much higher frame rate than ours. To a fly, our movements seem sluggish, almost frozen. Meanwhile, for larger animals, like elephants, time flows faster. Their internal clocks tick differently, making human actions seem rapid, fleeting. This isn't just about reflexes. It's about perception. A lifespan of 5 years for a dog feels as long as a human 70. A mayfly, which lives only for a day, may perceive that single day as a lifetime. Time, it seems, isn't a universal experience. It's something shaped by biology itself. But what about us? Could human consciousness evolve to experience time differently? Some theories suggest that deep meditation, altered states of consciousness, or even technological advancements could one day expand our perception, allowing us to stretch time, to process more within each moment. If time is a construct of the mind, then the limits of time might be nothing more than the limits of perception itself. Unlike us, artificial intelligence doesn't perceive time, it simply processes information. No waiting, no anticipation, no before or after. Just an endless stream of data, flowing without delay. But what happens if AI ever becomes conscious? If a machine gains self-awareness, would it experience time as we do, or would it exist outside of it? Would an AI mind live in an eternal present, seeing all moments at once? Or could it simulate the passage of time, creating artificial nostalgia, artificial patience, even artificial memories? Some theorists suggest that advanced AI might help us break free from our own linear experience of time. Could a hyper-intelligent system uncover patterns in space-time that our biological brains can't perceive? Could it predict the future with quantum-level precision, or even manipulate time itself? If AI is timeless, and if consciousness can one day exist in artificial form, what does that mean for us? Could we one day transcend time by merging with the very machines we create? Have you ever walked into a place you've never been before, and yet somehow it feels familiar? A conversation that you swear you've had before? A decision that feels eerily predetermined, as if you've made it countless times? We call it déjà vu, but what if it's more than just a trick of the brain? Some scientists suggest déjà vu is simply a misfiring of neurons, your brain processing the present moment as if it were a memory. But others believe it hints at something deeper. Could déjà vu be a glitch in our perception of time? A momentary overlap between parallel realities? Or what if we are trapped in loops of existence? What if time doesn't just move forward, but instead repeats infinitely, each lifetime playing out again and again? Certain interpretations of quantum mechanics suggest that the past, present, and future may all exist at once, meaning time itself could be folding back on itself, replaying over and over. If true, then right now, at this very moment, you may be living out an existence that you have already experienced countless times before without ever realizing it. But the real question is, if time is looping, can we break free? Or are we destined to repeat the same choices, the same mistakes, forever? The idea of controlling time has long been confined to science fiction, but what if the future holds more than just theories? Advances in quantum computing, relativity, and gravitational research are pushing the boundaries of what we believe to be possible. Could we one day manipulate time itself? Some scientists believe wormholes, hypothetical shortcuts through space-time, could be engineered to create real-time machines. If we learn to stabilize them, would we be able to step into the past or glimpse the distant future? And what about black holes? Their immense gravity warps time so dramatically that, near the event horizon, an outside observer would see time slow to a near standstill. Could we one day harness this effect to manipulate time? Then there's the unsettling possibility: if time travel is possible, has it already happened? Would we even notice it? Some theorists suggest that travelers from the future could blend seamlessly into our reality, altering small events without detection. If time isn't what we think it is, if past, present, and future coexist, then maybe history isn't fixed at all. Maybe time itself is waiting to be rewritten. For centuries, spiritual traditions have whispered a shocking idea: time isn't real. From Buddhist philosophy to Advaita Vedanta, from mystics to modern quantum theorists, the message echoes: what we perceive as past, present, and future is merely an illusion. If time is just a mental construct, then what are we really experiencing? Some philosophers argue that consciousness itself creates the perception of time. The brain stitches together moments, tricking us into believing that time is flowing forward when, in reality, everything may already exist, just like pages in a book, already written, waiting to be read. In states of deep meditation, psychedelic experiences, or near-death encounters, people report losing all sense of time. Some describe stepping outside of it completely, feeling as if they've entered an eternal now, a state where past, present, and future collapse into a single, unified experience. Could this be a glimpse into the true nature of reality? If time is just an illusion, what does that mean for free will? For memory? For identity itself? Perhaps, to truly understand time, we must step beyond it and discover what lies on the other side. Time feels like an unstoppable force, always moving, always slipping away. But what if that's just an illusion? What if time isn't something external, but something your mind creates, something you can control? Some monks claim they can slow time down through deep meditation. When fully present, seconds stretch, minutes expand, and awareness sharpens to the point where time itself seems to pause. Athletes in the heat of competition describe this same experience: flow state, where reaction time feels instant and the world moves in slow motion. But what if it goes further than that? Experiments suggest that psychedelics can completely dissolve our sense of time. Some who've taken substances like DMT or psilocybin report experiencing eternity in just a few minutes, losing all sense of past and future, existing in a single, boundless moment. Others describe the feeling of reliving their entire life, every decision, every memory, all at once. Could time be something we only experience because we expect to? What happens if you stop believing in time? Could you break free from its grip entirely? Some suggest that enlightenment, true spiritual awakening, isn't just about inner peace, it's about transcending time itself. If time is an illusion, then what happens when you finally wake up? What if time isn't fundamental? What if, instead of being the relentless force we believe it to be, time is merely a shadow, a side effect of something much deeper, much stranger? Some physicists propose that time, rather than being a primary dimension of reality, is an emergent property. It arises from deeper laws we don't yet understand, like heat emerging from the movement of molecules or consciousness arising from the brain. In this view, time isn't real in itself, it's a byproduct of something more profound. String theory and higher dimensional physics suggest that our universe may be embedded within a larger reality, one with extra dimensions beyond the three of space and one of time that we perceive. Could there be a fifth dimension, one where time doesn't exist at all? If so, what would it mean to exist in such a reality? If time is an illusion, what about everything we associate with it? Our choices, our memories, even our very sense of self? If time isn't the fabric of reality, then what is? And could this deeper truth be the key to unlocking mysteries far beyond our comprehension? Time, as we perceive it, unfolds in a neat, linear progression, one moment following the next, like beads on a string. But what if this is just an illusion? Some physicists propose that time doesn't actually flow at all. Instead, past, present, and future could all exist simultaneously, stacked like pages in a book, while our consciousness merely flips through them one at a time. This idea aligns with the block universe theory, which suggests that every moment in time, your birth, your present, your final breath, already exists. We are simply moving through a predetermined structure, experiencing reality one frame at a time. But if all moments exist at once, then why do we feel like we're moving through time? Imagine a film reel. Each individual frame is already there, unchanging, but it only appears to move when projected in sequence. Could our consciousness be functioning like the projector, illuminating one frame at a time, giving the illusion of passage? If this is true, does that mean the future is already written? Or could consciousness itself be the key to reshaping reality? If the future is set in stone, then free will might be nothing more than an illusion, a pre-scripted experience that only feels like choice. But what if our observation, the very act of awareness, determines which frames become real? Quantum physics suggests that observation collapses probabilities into a singular outcome. Could it be that every potential version of the future already exists, but our choices and awareness dictate which path we actually take? If so, then the future is not a fixed point. It is a sea of possibilities, waiting for consciousness to bring one version into existence. But if all versions of the future exist, then the question remains, are we truly shaping reality, or are we just selecting from a menu of pre-existing possibilities? What if time doesn't exist until we observe it? Quantum physics already suggests that particles don't take definite positions until they are measured. Could time itself work the same way? If so, does that mean time is something our minds are actively constructing, just like our perception of colors, sounds, and space? Some physicists believe time is simply a tool our brains use to make sense of an otherwise chaotic universe. We don't move through time. It's stitched together moment by moment, like frames of a film. But without an observer to experience those frames, would time even exist? Could this explain why dreams seem to distort time? Why hours feel like minutes or minutes feel like days? In dreams, the brain isn't following the same rules. It isn't measuring time the way we do when we're awake. And what about higher states of consciousness? Some near-death experiencers describe entering a realm where time doesn't exist at all, where all events, past and future, are happening at once. If consciousness can exist outside of time, does that mean time is just a mental construct? Are there forms of existence beyond our perception where time is unnecessary? If we could step outside of time, would we finally see reality for what it truly is? What if time isn't something we move through, but rather a vast informational structure where every event, past, present, and future, already exists, waiting to be accessed? Some physicists suggest that time might function more like a database than a flowing river, where moments aren't lost but instead persist as retrievable information encoded into the very fabric of reality. In quantum mechanics, entanglement allows two particles, no matter how far apart, to share an instantaneous connection. But what if this principle extends beyond space and into time itself? Could past and future events be entangled, influencing one another in ways we don't yet understand? If so, could we be living in a universe where the past is never truly gone, and the future has already left its imprint on the present? This leads to a fascinating idea: temporal coding, the possibility that time doesn't pass, but instead functions as an interactive archive. Every decision, every moment, could be stored like data in a cosmic record, retrievable under the right conditions. Some theorists propose that consciousness itself may act as the key to unlocking this database, allowing us to tap into memories beyond our own lifetime, premonitions of the future, or even lost moments from history. If the universe is a vast informational system, could it mean that what we perceive as time is merely the process of reading and writing data into the cosmos? If so, then time may not be about movement, it may be about access. What we call the past isn't gone, it's just a section of the code we've stopped looking at. But if this is true, it raises an unsettling question: can the present be rewritten? And if so, who or what is writing it? If simply observing a quantum particle can change its behavior, could the same be true for time itself? In quantum mechanics, the observer effect suggests that the act of measurement forces a system to choose a definite state. Before we measure, particles exist in multiple possibilities at once. But what if time follows the same strange rules? Some researchers propose that time might not be a continuous flow but a series of discrete events, like frames in a film. If that's true, then our perception of time could be shaping it as we go. Could it be that time only moves forward because we are measuring it? This raises a mind-bending question. If we developed a way to observe time at a more fundamental level, could we slow it down or even speed it up? Some scientists believe that by studying time more precisely, perhaps down to the quantum scale, we might discover ways to alter its passage. Could future technology allow us to manipulate time itself? Would high-precision observation let us pause, rewind, or even reshape moments in reality? And if time is tied to our perception, could the mere act of focusing on a moment make it last longer? If observing particles changes their behavior, what happens when we start observing time itself? Are we unknowingly shaping the flow of time just by being aware of it? What if time isn't an absolute force but a limitation of human perception? Could the way we experience time be nothing more than a mental construct? A filter imposed by our brains to make sense of reality? Some mystics, meditators, and even quantum physicists suggest that time may not exist at all, at least not in the way we think it does. Reports from near-death experiences, NDEs, frequently describe a realm beyond time, where past, present, and future coexist in a single, unified moment. Those who have had such experiences often return with the sense that time was never linear to begin with. It was just an illusion that dissolved when their consciousness left the body. Deep states of meditation, practiced for millennia in Eastern traditions, also seem to alter time perception. Experienced monks have reported timeless awareness, where hours pass in what feels like mere minutes, or where moments stretch indefinitely. Some even claim to have glimpsed a reality where time does not flow at all, but simply is. Could this mean that time is something we generate internally, rather than something we move through externally? Psychedelic experiences further push this boundary. Many who have experimented with substances like DMT, psilocybin, or ayahuasca describe moments where time ceases to exist, or where they experience their entire life, past, present, and future, as a single moment. Some even report visions of higher dimensional realms, where time is seen as a landscape rather than a river. If altered states of consciousness can dissolve our perception of time, does that mean time itself is just an illusion of the mind? And if so, could shifting our awareness allow us to break free from it entirely? Perhaps the greatest question isn't whether time is real, but rather, why we're trapped inside it at all. Your thoughts can leap across decades in an instant. One moment, you're recalling a childhood memory, and the next, you're imagining a future that hasn't happened yet. Unlike the physical world, where events unfold second by second, your mind doesn't seem bound by the same rules. If time is a river, then consciousness is a bird soaring above it, able to glance forward and backward at will. This raises a profound question. Does thought exist outside of time? Neuroscientists measure brain activity in milliseconds, yet our subjective experience of thinking feels nearly instantaneous. The brain takes time to process sensory input, yet we feel like we react in real time. Could this mean that the mind functions on a different clock than reality itself? Some theories suggest that time is a limitation of the physical world, while consciousness might be operating in a realm where time flows differently or not at all. Mystics and meditators often report experiences where time dissolves completely. Could their minds be tapping into a level of reality where thought isn't constrained by seconds and minutes? If thoughts aren't bound by time, then could we learn to manipulate time through thought? If the speed of perception affects how we experience reality, then training the mind to think differently could alter the way time feels. And if our minds can outrun time itself, then what does that say about our true nature? Are we prisoners of time or architects of it? If the past, present, and future already exist simultaneously, then do we really have control over our choices? Or are we just following a script that has already been written? The block universe theory suggests that all of time, every moment that has ever existed or will exist, is already laid out, like frames on a film reel. We only experience it sequentially because of the way our consciousness moves through it. But if this is true, then is free will just an illusion? If we could somehow step outside of time, we might see every choice we have ever made, and every choice we will make, already there, fixed and unchanging. This raises an unsettling question. Are we really making decisions, or are we just playing out a role that was already decided long before we became aware of it? But there may be a loophole. Quantum mechanics introduces a strange and unpredictable element to reality, one that suggests the future is not entirely fixed. The idea of quantum superposition means that multiple possibilities exist at once, only becoming real when observed. Could it be that our choices influence which version of reality we step into? Some physicists speculate that consciousness itself might play a role in collapsing quantum possibilities into a single, experienced reality. If so, then could our intentions, beliefs, and focus actually shape our personal timelines? Could learning to navigate time at the quantum level allow us to break free from determinism and consciously influence the path we take? If time is not as rigid as it seems, then perhaps our choices are more powerful than we ever imagined. Maybe the real paradox isn't whether free will exists, but rather how much of the future we are already shaping without realizing it. Time is not universal. Even on Earth, different creatures experience it in vastly different ways. A housefly, with its rapid neural processing, perceives movement in slow motion compared to a human. To a tree, existing for centuries, time is a slow unfolding, where decades pass like mere moments. If perception of time varies across species, what happens when we consider intelligent beings beyond our world? If extraterrestrial life exists, could their brains be wired to experience time differently than we do? A civilization evolving around a long-lived star might experience time on a scale where centuries feel like minutes. Others, existing near a black hole, could perceive time as nearly frozen, living entire lifetimes while the universe outside rushes forward at an incomprehensible speed. Even more mind-bending is the idea that advanced life forms might not experience time as linear at all. Some physicists suggest that an ultra-intelligent civilization could evolve to perceive past, present, and future simultaneously, existing in a reality beyond our comprehension. If our perception of time is tied to our biological limitations, then beings without such constraints might exist outside of time itself, observing the entire span of history as a single, eternal moment. And if such entities exist, then what does that mean for us? Could our own consciousness, under the right conditions, one day break free from time's grip? Or are we forever trapped in a reality dictated by the ticking of the clock? If time is merely a property of our universe, then could other realities exist where time does not? What would it mean to exist in a universe without time, without past, present, or future? Our entire perception of reality is built on the movement of time. Without it, there would be no change, no cause and effect, no before or after. But some physicists speculate that time might not be fundamental at all, that it could be an emergent property of deeper laws we don't yet understand. If this is true, then could there be places, dimensions, or even entire universes where time simply doesn't exist? Would such a reality be static, frozen in an eternal moment? Or could existence itself transcend time, functioning in ways beyond our comprehension? Some spiritual traditions describe states of pure being, moments of enlightenment where time dissolves completely. People who have experienced deep meditation, near-death experiences, or psychedelic states often describe a feeling of timelessness, as if they have stepped outside of the flow of time altogether. Could these altered states be glimpses of what existence might be like beyond the constraints of time? If time is an illusion, then what does that say about our own existence? Are we truly moving forward in time, or are we simply perceiving the unfolding of a reality that is already whole and complete? And if time can be removed from the equation, then does that mean our consciousness, our awareness, exists beyond time itself? Maybe the ultimate nature of reality isn't about the past or the future at all. Maybe the deepest truth is found in the eternal now. The mere act of observing something changes its outcome. This is one of the strangest discoveries in quantum mechanics. But what if it doesn't stop at particles? What if time itself is shaped by the observer? For centuries, we've assumed that time is an objective force, a universal clock ticking away, independent of our thoughts. But what if that's wrong? Quantum experiments suggest that particles exist in multiple states at once, until we observe them. The simple act of looking forces them to pick a reality. This is the famous observer effect. But what if the same thing applies to time? If reality only solidifies when we observe it, then is time truly flowing, or are we the ones creating its movement? Some physicists argue that time might not be a fundamental part of the universe. Instead, it could be something our minds generate, like a film reel playing frame by frame, when in reality, every frame already exists. Does this mean the past and future are just as real as the present, but we only experience them in sequence because our consciousness demands it? And if we could alter our perception, could we experience time differently? Could we slow it down, speed it up, or even step outside of it completely? Maybe time isn't something we move through. Maybe it's something we create. We like to believe that the past is written in stone, an unchanging sequence of events forever locked in time. But what if that's an illusion? What if every time we recall a memory, we aren't retrieving an exact record but reconstructing it, altering it in the process? Neuroscientists have found that memory is not like a video recording. Instead of perfectly storing events, our brains recreate them each time we think about them. Small details shift, emotions reshape the narrative, and over time, memories can even become distorted beyond recognition. If our own minds can rewrite the past, then what does that say about time itself? Quantum physics complicates the picture even further. In experiments like the quantum eraser, particles seem to retroactively change their states based on future observations. If quantum systems can be influenced in reverse, could the act of remembering actually alter past events in subtle ways? Could time itself be fluid, shaped not just by experience but by observation? Some take this idea even further, pointing to phenomena like the Mandela effect, where large groups of people remember past events differently than recorded history suggests. Is this just a glitch in human memory, or evidence that reality itself has shifted? If time isn't fixed, if the past is still being rewritten, then the biggest question remains: who or what is doing the rewriting? What if you've been here before, not just in this moment, but in this exact life? Some theories suggest that time isn't a straight line, moving endlessly forward, but a circle, an infinite loop where everything repeats forever. This idea, eternal recurrence, has been whispered through history. From ancient Hindu and Buddhist teachings of cyclical time to Friedrich Nietzsche's chilling thought experiment. What if you had to live this life over and over again, every decision, every mistake, every moment? But what if this isn't just philosophy? Some physicists believe the universe itself might be stuck in an endless cycle, expanding, collapsing, and being reborn in an infinite cosmic rhythm. And maybe we experience echoes of this. Déjà vu premonitions. A strange feeling that you've done something before, even when you haven't. Could these be glitches in the loop, faint memories of past cycles seeping into the present? Or what if every decision you make has already been made countless times before? If time is a loop, then the biggest question isn't how it works, but how do we break free? Or maybe we never do.